Hello, friends. I think it's no secret that today, the world of the film industry is not just about movies, it's a whole cult, and an impressively large-scale business that brings in profits but also, often, huge losses. Every year, Hollywood alone releases about 500 new films of various genres, with budgets often exceeding hundreds of millions of dollars each. At the same time, some of them crash and burn at the box office, while others break all possible records in a matter of weeks, instantly bringing not only huge money to the studios and producers, but also fame to the film's lead actors. And essentially, as everywhere, some become popular in just a few days, while others have to work towards their dream for many, many years. Today, I decided to talk and tell you about one of the most recognizable actors of our time. After all, Vin Diesel is one of the few who truly shines on screen. And it doesn't matter if it's a fight scene where he needs to punish the bad guys, a car chase, or simple, emotional dialogue. This man's name has long become a household name, and his face is probably recognized by everyone today. But despite all this success, only a few know how the man made it to the big screen and why he became the most sought-after actor in modern Hollywood. I'm sure you'll find it interesting. The famous actor's real name is Mark Sinclair. The boy was born on July 18, 1967, in Alameda County, California, alongside his twin brother named Paul. Not much is known about their early childhood, except that they were raised solely by their mother, who was a psychiatrist by profession and also was interested in astrology. Nothing is known about the biological father to this day. Needless to say, the mother struggled alone. She barely made ends meet. Until the boys were 3, they lived in a small rented apartment, and there was never enough money. The boys spent most of their time with different nannies since their mother took on any work she could find. This continued until the moment she remarried a black man named Irving H. Vincent. And, jumping ahead, I'll say that he became the real father for the boy and his brother. He not only accepted his new wife's children as his own, but also gave them genuine paternal love. Furthermore, Vin, or rather, Marco, and his brother Paul gained a half-brother, Tim, and a sister named Samantha. Irving adored the future actor and loved spending all his free time with the children. As it turned out, he had been working as a theater manager and acting instructor for quite some time. Irving often took the kids to various theater performances and even movie premieres. And, I think, it's easy to guess that this fact influenced Mark's future. Even as a young boy, he imagined himself as the main hero on the screen while at home. Like many of us did in childhood, he could spend hours making faces in the mirror, pretending to be cool. But interestingly, Mark first appeared on stage almost by accident, if you can call it that. The thing is, at the age of 7, he, along with his brother and other boys, got into a bit of mischief and broke into a door at the New York City Theater. Of course, they had no idea that someone else was in the building at that very moment. As luck would have it, a rehearsal by director Crystal Field was taking place on stage at that moment. The surprised man didn't call the police and even reacted positively to the incident. Instead of scolding the hooligans, he simply let them try their hand at being theater actors. This was Crystal's way of teaching the cheeky kids a lesson. He gave each of them a piece of text to read. Well, as you've probably guessed, Mark handled this task the best, and Field, in turn, without a second thought, offered him a role in the play Dinosaur Door, paying him his first ever fee of a whole $20. As the man later recalled, it was a simple twist of fate that might not have happened. But you never know what awaits each of us behind the door. That's right, friends. A seemingly simple coincidence became a turning point in the actor's life. Easy money is never superfluous, and if there's a chance to earn it, why not? That's why the young artist continued to visit the theater and perform on stage until he was 17. During this time, he not only had pocket money but also significantly developed his acting skills. I don't know why, but I always knew I would be a movie star, Vin Diesel admitted with a smile. I knew it from a very early age. In general, during his youth, Mark wasn't much different from his peers. The only thing he was teased for was his strange physique. He was tall and very skinny, for which he even got the nickname Worm. The guy was very worried about his unattractive body, but quickly found a way out of the uncomfortable situation. At 15, he started working out at the gym in parallel, focusing regularly on strength exercises. By 17, Mark could easily boast of his impressive musculature, so impressive that he easily got a job as a bouncer at a nightclub in Manhattan. It was at that moment the guy changed his image. He shaved his head bald and started introducing himself to all the guests. with a new name, the one we all know him by now. Thanks to this job, Vin not only made new acquaintances but also learned to communicate with the opposite sex and, of course, gained that very experience of street fights that he demonstrates so skillfully in every movie. I've probably fought over 500 times in total. Heck, practically daily. And these weren't beautiful, choreographed fights. Sometimes I got hit, and hard, the actor once recalled in an interview. But the guy had the brains to understand that working as a bouncer for the rest of his life wasn't great for his prospects. So, alongside his job, he managed to enroll in a college in New York, where he chose a major in English literature and creative writing. It seemed like everything in life was going normally, but the guy never graduated. Unexpectedly for everyone, he simply withdrew his documents, packed all his things, and, despite his parents' pleas, headed to Los Angeles. Yes, friends, he had a dream to become a Hollywood actor, but he had no connections in Hollywood at the time. Upon arriving in the City of Angels, Vin immediately started going to castings. In just 3 months, he went to about 100. It was then that he realized the harsh realities of life. The fact was that he didn't receive a single offer to act in a movie, not one. He was ready even for a minor role, but the judging panels deemed him not quite good enough. Los Angeles greeted me very coldly. I didn't have enough money to live on. I didn't even consider going back home. I was just too ashamed to return broke and show everyone I was just a failure. The next step in his career was working for a telemarketing company. At one casting, in desperation, he said he needed a job just to stay afloat. One of the jury members took pity on our guy and, after the audition, gave him a business card for a side job. So Vin ended up in telemarketing, which, in his opinion, could bring him closer to Hollywood. But even despite some success, it didn't help. After a year of wandering, he finally returned to New York, depressed and with low self-esteem. It goes without saying that returning home, the guy was going through a tough time and even fell into depression due to the multiple rejections from directors. Seeing her son, who could sit in his room for days on end, his mother gave Vin the book, The Low-Budget Film: How to Make a Movie for Under $10,000, hinting that everything was still in his hands. For several weeks, the guy devoured this book, and in the end, it inspired him so much that he independently wrote the script for a film called Strays. A feature film was, of course, beyond the means of a beginner screenwriter and actor. And so the autobiographical short film Multifacial was born. Vin Diesel himself produced the film. By the way, he also played the lead role and even wrote the music for it. Vin spent his hard-earned $3,000 on it. And as the man himself recalled, I had a choice: buy my first car or spend it on a movie. As you can see, I chose the latter, and in the end, it helped me earn enough for a whole fleet of cars. But that was still a long way off. Next, he needed to make his film known. He started sending it to various festivals. This went on for several months, and the guy, without even knowing it, was creating a new chapter in Hollywood history. Whether by pure chance or not, the film was selected for the 1995 Cannes Film Festival, primarily due to its excellent exploration of the theme of racial inequality in the world. After his brainchild was shown on the big screen, the motivated Diesel decided to move back to Los Angeles. After all, in his opinion, he now had something to impress the jury with. Upon his return, he also got a job in telemarketing to save up money for the film adaptation of his first script, Strays, and soon he managed to make another dream a reality. In 1996, the film was shown at the American Film Festival. But even despite positive reviews from film critics, the film didn't bring any profit. But money didn't interest Vin Diesel. His main victory was the mere fact that he was noticed. And not by just anyone, but by Steven Spielberg himself, who even invited Diesel to play a role in his new film Saving Private Ryan. The role of Sergeant Capazzo became one of the first major roles for our guy. A bit later, this film was nominated for 5 Oscars, and Diesel, along with his colleagues from the set, was nominated for a Screen Actors Guild Award in the category Outstanding Performance by a Cast. Thanks to this nomination, Vin Diesel started getting noticed in the film world and was gradually invited to participate in new projects. By the way, according to experts, it was his persistence and dedication that paid off. By the early 2000s, offers were becoming more numerous, and Diesel could already boast a list of excellent roles, for example, in Ben Younger's drama Boiler Room and David Tui's sci-fi film Pitch Black. It was from this film that the famous The Chronicles of Riddick series began, becoming one of the most important roles in the actor's life, bringing him not only popularity in Hollywood but worldwide fame. In 2001, another equally famous crime thriller, The Fast and the Furious, was released, instantly making Diesel a favorite of millions. Noting Diesel's acting, critics wrote that he uniquely combines the calm of a contemplator with almost uncontrollable fury. After The Fast and the Furious came Knockaround Guys with John Malkovich and XXX with Samuel L. Jackson. In 2003, the American-German action film A Man Apart was released, in which Diesel played the lead role and also served as an executive producer. Every film was successful, and at one point Diesel decided to change his image, trying his hand at comedy. Thus, films like The Pacifier and Find Me Guilty hit the screens. But, as often happens, success was followed by failure. Diesel faced a difficult choice: Hitman or Babylon A.D. The actor chose the latter project and was sorely mistaken. The film not only failed to recoup its $70 million budget but became one of the biggest flops in the actor's career. It was after this event that Diesel focused intently on working on the next Fast and Furious installment, successfully returning to the world stage. In parallel, the actor starred in the sequel X, State of the Union, and also in Guardians of the Galaxy, playing the animated character Groot, whom he subsequently voiced. By the way, for those who don't know, Groot is voiced by Vin Diesel. Of course, we can't ignore one of the most interesting topics in the actor's life, namely his personal life. He was often linked romantically with Playboy models, actresses, and even singers from the Pussycat Dolls. The actor himself has repeatedly said that he prefers not to flaunt his personal life, but I will still mention the most famous relationships. In 2001, the actor dated his The Fast and the Furious co-star, actress Michelle Rodriguez. Their romance lasted only a few months. In 2003, Diesel was in a relationship with Czech model Paulina Harkov, but that relationship also ended quickly. Then, in 2007, Vin Diesel met that very Mexican model, Paloma Jimenez. He has been in a common-law marriage with her ever since. The couple has 3 children: daughter Hania Riley, son Vincent Sinclair, and daughter Pauline, who was named after the late Paul Walker. Perhaps it's also worth noting the actor's relationship with his twin brother and his half-siblings. They, like Vin Diesel, work in the film industry. Paul is an editor, and Samantha and Tim help him with producing. Of course, they all got into the movies thanks to Vin, and now Vin sees them as his support system. But there are also some very interesting facts about our hero's life. So, besides his boundless love for sports and cinema, the actor is fond of video games and even created a company that developed the game Wheelman, whose main character speaks in Diesel's voice. Besides this, there are many other projects where Vin invests his money, as the fortune he's earned is enough for several lifetimes. Today, Vin Diesel is an A-list actor and one of the highest paid in Hollywood. In 2017, Forbes magazine even named him the 3rd richest actor in the world. He remains the face of the Fast and Furious saga and, of course, Guardians of the Galaxy. Now Vin is focused on future roles, as the long-awaited continuation of Avatar, where he plays one of the key roles, is just around the corner. Furthermore, among English-speaking audiences, Diesel is primarily known for his deep, velvety voice. According to the actor himself, his sexy baritone appeared when he was just 15, and since then. In phone conversations, he often pretended to be an adult man. Around the same time, the actor started going to the gym and began training with heavy weights, thanks to which today we see 225 pounds 100 kilograms of strength and power on screen. And now, as per tradition, the most interesting facts about the hero's life that will make you think and smile. Before becoming a professional actor, Diesel tried to impress girls by rapping and even breakdancing. Unfortunately, not much evidence remains, but there is still some. There's a legend about Diesel's determination. When, after Pitch Black and The Chronicles of Riddick, the studio decided not to shoot a 3rd part, the actor didn't give up on the idea and decided to do everything himself. He had to not only wipe out all his savings but even mortgage his own house. As we know, fortune favors the bold. Riddick grossed nearly $100 million worldwide and made him an A-list actor. After all, it could have been different. Vin could have ended up homeless. Besides his financial well-being, the actor can also boast his popularity. He is one of the most followed users on Facebook, where over 100 million people follow his life. But even despite the close public attention, Diesel does an excellent job of not publicizing his personal life. He is, by the way, a loving and proud husband and father who tries to spend all his free time only with his family. The family currently lives in Los Angeles. Not long ago, A small house in the Hollywood Hills was put up for sale. Vin Diesel was asking $1.3 million for it, but no buyers were found. Vin bought this small and modest house back in 2000 when he couldn't afford anything better. It was this very house he mortgaged to continue the third part of Riddick, and now the actor rents it out for $6,000 a month. Of course, Vin and his family haven't lived there for a long time, and a list actor can afford the best. But he sometimes goes there just to remember who he was and how he made his way in life. His life was never easy, but even despite all the difficulties, he achieved everything himself, with his own hands. He managed to earn the very recognition he sought for many years. Sleepless nights in rented motels and apartments in Los Angeles, humiliation at castings, tears into the pillow at night, lack of money, and simple naivety that was shattered against all the film studios, demeaning work, and much more. All this is just a small part of what this man had to go through. But even despite all this, he didn't give up, didn't stray from his path, and, most importantly, never looked back. He just kept moving forward clearly towards his dream, which he himself made a reality. As our hero once said, "It doesn't matter if you won in a second or it took you a long time. A win is a win. Only the result matters." Friends, which film featuring Vin Diesel do you like the most? And in general, what do you think of this actor as a person? Be sure to write your opinion in the comments. Well, that's all for now. Please like the video if you enjoyed it, and see you next time. Bye.